Okay, so to cut these little guys off, I need to secure the seat. So I clamp it down to the bench. But when you're whacking on it, sometimes it'll move a little bit with you, and then it loosens up the clamp. The clamp falls on your foot, and the chair falls on the floor. So my Canadian friend sent me some hockey pucks. And I got little pads glued to them, and then he bored holes in the top of them for the legs to sit in, just right like that. And I also use it when I flip the chair over on the top to pad the chair. Kind of multi-useful. Okay, so now I got that, and my hickory stick there, and you need a deep-throated clamp here to be able to and now you can just sit right here and work on it. So, you know, they make flush cut saws with set on one side of the teeth. I never can get those things to work the way I want them to work. So I just prefer to cut them off with this thing. And Chiseling. So this is a I think they're called Files, the name of the brand, Swiss made. It's a 335. 3 is the sweep. It's flat. 35 is the millimeter right there, I guess. The trick here is you can't come out on the other side with the gouge because it's unsupported wood fibers over there, and it'll break out and tear out. So you have to come out of the cut before you reach that other side. So about there. You want to get it as close as you can, but you got to watch out for two things. I don't want to hit on that. You can't hear me talking. One is you don't want to get into the pine, and the other, you don't want to get the leg below the level of the pine. Both of those are hard to deal with. So now I've got it cut off, and I'm going to scrape it flat. Now, scraping it it's a little tricky. You got to flex the scraper and concentrate right on top of the leg. You don't want to get over into the pine because the pine's softer. And so you just, and once again, the end grain of this red oak is so open that it makes it a little more difficult than that smooth maple that I usually have. And then after you get it to where it's level, then you can pass over the whole thing, the pine and the oak, but very lightly, gently, because you'll be coming across the pine, you'll hit the oak, and then you'll get a line all the way across there that'll show up when you paint it. So this one's ready to go, and I'll go ahead and do that one when you're not looking, and then I'm going to flip it around and prepare. I'll show you how I cut this one off. kind of the same thing, but a little hog-tied back in there, so it makes it a little more difficult. So see you in a minute. Now these are a little trickier because this tight curve right here. Sometimes I don't even saw it off. I just go straight to it with the gouge, but most of the time I do saw it off. You really have to watch though. You'll get your saw into the top of the gutter here and you can't fix it. So same thing, you got to come out of the cut. It's just harder to get to and you got more to remove. You can't quite see that, but that's the way I do it. So the spot over here is tough, but you can get to it though. Got a little bit right there. See if I can get that. You don't want to do a whole lot of work with the scraper. Let's see if I can get this one in there. Yeah. So you could get that curved one in, or one of these gooseneck ones in. But concentrate on the top of the leg. Okay, there we go. And just a little piece of 150. Because if you remember when I sanded the seat, I just sanded it to 150 because if you're going to paint it with milk paint, that's all you need. You don't need to go any further than that. Natural finish you do, but not with milk paint. That's good. Okay, well I'll do this other one over here and while you're not looking, and we'll be ready for the next thing, which is cutting the gutter right back here. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is carve this gutter back here, this groove on the back edge. So if you've watched some of the other videos, you see that on most of the other chairs I bevel that off with the draw knife, and but on this chair, since I've got all these red stripes everywhere and I paint this gutter red, then I like to outline the spindle deck with another gutter back here that's painted red. So I end up cutting a gutter right out here on this edge, or cutting a groove out there on the edge. You call it whatever you want. It's trickier than carving this one, but I'll show you how I do it, and maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for you when you give it a try. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is put me a line on there to cut to. So it's probably, say, 3/16 of an inch in, and maybe you can see it right there. And I've tried to cut it before, just taking the gouge to it right there on that edge, and get it done, but it's not quite as easy as if you flatten it with the spoke shave first. This is the same gouge I used to veiner, the same one I used to cut this with. Get that. That curl keeps blocking my vision. So when you get back here on this short grain, you might have to wiggle your tool a little bit. Right like that. Okay, so I'll flip it around now and do the other side, and when we come back, I'll be ready to start messing around with the upper part.